Have you ever come across places so unbelievable that you had to double-check whether they were real? Locations where people wake up every morning, go about their lives, and call home, yet look like something straight out of a movie set or a fever dream? What if I told you there are villages floating on water, homes dangling off sheer cliff sides, and even an entire country suspended in mid-air above the ocean? Today, we're counting down 15 of the most jaw-dropping places on Earth, where people actually live. Trust me, by the end of this video, your idea of home is never going to be the same again. So without further delay, let's dive in. Number 15. Brazilian Favela. Kicking things off at number 15, we have the Brazilian favelas. At first glance, these neighborhoods look like an artist went wild with a paint set. Vibrant, colorful, eye-catching. Tourists travel from across the globe just to photograph these stacked, multi-hued homes crawling up the hillsides. But here's the twist. What appears to be a single-story house from the outside is actually 2 stories on the inside, thanks to the genius and necessity of how these structures are built. Now, as stunning as the favelas look in photographs, there's a much darker reality lurking beneath all that color. These areas are controlled by some of Brazil's most powerful criminal gangs, and turf wars can break out at any moment without warning. Nobody dares wander in alone. If you ever visit, going with a trusted local guide is absolutely non-negotiable. On top of the crime, there's nature's fury to worry about. Every monsoon season, fierce winds rolling in off the ocean bring torrential rainfall, dramatically increasing the risk of dangerous landslides. The local government has installed large-scale siren systems to warn residents when conditions turn deadly. Number 14. Sealand. At number 14, we have Sealand, and yes, it's exactly as wild as it sounds. What looks like a chunk of a rusty old platform floating in the sea is, according to its residents, a fully sovereign nation. It has its own passports, its own currency, and is located just 12 kilometers off the coast of the United Kingdom. Sealand is not only the world's smallest country, it's also one of the most surreal, hovering above the North Sea on concrete stilts. Here's the backstory. During World War II, the British military constructed this sea fort as a base for aircraft operations. When the war ended, the structure was largely abandoned. Then in 1967, a man named Roy Bates sailed out, claimed the platform, and declared it an independent nation. He crowned himself Prince of Sealand, issued passports, and moved his entire family there. No recognized government in the world acknowledges Sealand as a legitimate country. But that hasn't stopped the Bates family from living there ever since. Getting there is an adventure in itself. By helicopter, it's relatively manageable. By boat, you're looking at dangling from a rope and hauling yourself up while the ocean roars beneath you. Not for the faint of heart. Number 13. Zhangjiajie Hanging Village, China. Number 13 takes us to Zhangjiajie's clifftop village in China, one of the most visually stunning and vertigo-inducing places on this list. The homes here are constructed directly onto the faces of towering rock formations, with only a small portion of each structure resting on solid stone. The rest of the house juts out entirely into open air, supported by massive reinforced concrete pillars driven deep into the cliff. It sounds impossible, but it works, and these homes have been standing firm for generations. Today, there are staircases and guardrails, making it somewhat accessible to visitors and residents alike. But not too long ago, there was nothing, no steps, no railings, just sheer rock face. The villagers would scale those cliffs barehanded day in and day out. Just imagining that daily commute is enough to make your palms sweat. Number 12. Floating Village, Cambodia. At number 12, we're heading to Cambodia's famous floating village. This is a place where every single household owns a boat, not as a luxury, but as a basic necessity. Without one, you simply cannot get around. Swimming from home to home is out of the question too, because the water here is shared with crocodiles and water snakes. So yes, Boat ownership isn't optional. The residents earn their living primarily through fishing, heading out onto the water daily to catch fish that they then sell at markets on the mainland. There's even a floating restaurant nearby where tourists can stop in for a meal while visiting. But perhaps the most fascinating feature is the floating forest right beside the village, a woodland that remains completely submerged underwater for all 12 months of the year. It's an eerie, beautiful, almost otherworldly sight. Most of the boat operators you'll encounter here are women, quietly keeping this entire floating community running. Number 11. Yakutsk, Russia. Number 11 is Yakutsk, Russia, otherwise known as Ice Hell. That nickname is well earned. Yakutsk holds the title of one of the coldest permanently inhabited cities on the planet. During winter, temperatures routinely plunge to minus 50 degrees Celsius. Let that sink in. If you hang wet laundry outside, it freezes solid within minutes, stiff as a board. If you toss boiling water into the air, it transforms into a cloud of ice crystals before it even hits the ground. Yet somehow, over 330,000 people call this frozen city home. For context, when Antarctica is sitting at a chilly minus 20 degrees Celsius, Yakutsk is at minus 50 degrees Celsius. The record low? A bone-crushing minus 71 degrees Celsius. At those temperatures, stepping outside without proper protection means your blood begins to freeze in your fingertips within minutes. Car engines are never switched off, because if they are, the oil inside solidifies almost instantly, and the entire engine locks up. Drivers who break down on the road have roughly 10 minutes to fix the problem. After that, the vehicle is gone, and without passing traffic to rescue them, survival becomes a very grim race against time. Number 10. Elliday Island, Iceland. Number 10 belongs to Elliday Island, the loneliest island in the world. On this remote patch of land off the coast of Iceland, there is exactly one structure. A small house. It has rooms, a kitchen, all the basic essentials, but zero electricity and zero internet. Complete, total isolation. To get there, you take a boat from Iceland's mainland and sail out to the island. Fresh drinking water comes from a rainwater collection tank built near the house. As for food, there's no farming possible here, so you bring everything you need with you before you arrive. The one activity freely available: sitting at the edge of the island and fishing in peace. I'll be honest, if I had the chance to spend a few weeks there, completely cut off from the chaos of the world, I'd seriously consider it. What about you? Drop a comment below and let me know. Number 9. Cliff Village, China. At number 9, we have another Chinese village, and this one might give you shivers before you even think about visiting. To reach this mountaintop community, you have to climb a series of vertical steel ladders bolted into the side of a sheer cliff face. Now those ladders exist today, but just 5 to 10 years ago, there were no ladders. Residents climbed up and down using narrow, crumbling paths carved into the rock, with nothing but a drop into a deep ravine on either side. One wrong step and that was it. Even today, the villagers grow their wheat and rice on plots of land carved right into the mountain summit. Their livestock graze up there too, life at altitude, in every sense of the phrase. Number 8. Freedom Cove, Canada. Number 8 is Freedom Cove, a one-of-a-kind artificial island built entirely by hand in a remote inlet near Tofino, British Columbia. A couple constructed this floating homestead beginning in 1991, and it took them 2 full years to complete. Today, their island home features gardens where they grow their own vegetables, trees and plants they've cultivated over decades, and a self-sustaining lifestyle that most people only dream about. When they need supplies they can't grow themselves, they make a trip to the nearest town supermarket. Otherwise, this floating paradise is entirely their own creation. Number 7. Hanging Temple of Hengshan, China. At number 7 we have the Hanging Temple of Hengshan, a structure so extraordinary it feels like it shouldn't be physically possible. Perched 246 feet above the ground, this ancient temple appears to be glued to the side of a sheer mountain cliff. Only a tiny portion of the structure rests against the rock. The rest is held up entirely by wooden beams, not steel, not concrete, just timber. And before you assume it's a recent construction, think again. This temple was built over 1,400 years ago. The engineering of ancient China clearly had no shortage of ambition. Millions of visitors make the pilgrimage here every single year. Number 6. Rotating house. Number 6 is something you've almost certainly never seen before. A house that rotates with the wind. Built on a single central pole, this stunning glass and wood structure spins as the wind blows, faster when the gusts are stronger, slower when things calm down. It's not just stuck on a pole either. A proper base was engineered first, with a metal frame built around the pole to create the rotating platform. Construction began in 2016 and was completed by 2018. Living here means your view changes literally every few minutes. Perpetual panorama. Number 5. Makoko, Nigeria. At number 5, we arrive at Makoko, one of Africa's most unique and overlooked communities, located on the Lagos Lagoon in Nigeria. Unlike the scenic floating villages of Cambodia, Makoko sits on dark, heavily polluted water. Yet hundreds of thousands of people have built their lives here, constructing stilted shacks above the murky surface. Families fish from boats, children grow up on wooden platforms, and the entire community pulses with daily activity, despite having no schools and no hospitals within the settlement itself. Anyone who falls ill must be transported by boat to hospitals in the city. The contaminated water makes illness depressingly common. But this community endures, because for its residents, this is simply home. Number 4. River House. Number 4 is the River House, and this one is genuinely dreamy. Picture a house completely surrounded by flowing river water on all 4 sides. That's exactly what this is. Originally built to attract tourists who come to swim in the river, the concept proved so popular that more houses were eventually added alongside it. It's essentially a riverside retreat, and when swimmers tire themselves out in the current, they can paddle over, climb in, and rest. The one catch? During periods of extremely heavy rainfall, when the river swells beyond its banks, these houses have been known to get swept away by the current. Waterfront living, taken to its literal extreme. Number 3. Mount Fanjing, China. At number 3, we have the temples of Mount Fanjing, a place that will test every nerve in your body. 2 impossibly thin rock pillars rise dramatically from a lush green landscape, and perched right at the top of each one is a Buddhist temple. A narrow staircase connects the 2 summits, carved into the rock itself. As you climb higher and higher, the drop below you grows more and more terrifying. By the time you reach the top, even the bravest of climbers might find their legs going weak. This is strictly a destination for those with zero fear of heights and zero fear of the absolute edge of existence. Number 2. Train through a skyscraper, China. Number 2 is something that sounds like an urban legend, but is completely real. In Chongqing, China, a fully operational train line passes directly through the middle of a high-rise residential building. People live in apartments on the floors above and below the track. When the train passes through, the windows of each train car automatically go opaque, frosted glass, to protect the privacy of the residents inside. The moment the train exits the building, the windows clear again. Engineering, privacy, and city planning all solved in one elegant stroke. Absolutely wild. Number 1. Tuvalu. And finally, at number 1, we have Tuvalu, a nation that may not exist much longer. Located in the west-central Pacific Ocean, roughly halfway between Hawaii and Australia, Tuvalu is a chain of low-lying coral islands that sits just 2 meters above sea level at its highest point. Researchers confirmed that sea levels are rising at approximately 3.9 millimeters per year, which means that within the coming decades, this entire country could be swallowed by the ocean. For now, it remains a beautiful place to visit. There's one main road, a single airstrip that handles all incoming flights, and homes built in 2 layers, one above ground for daily living, and one partially underground for when fierce nighttime winds make sleeping on the surface nearly impossible. When powerful waves sweep in from the sea, residents retreat below. There are no ATMs, and internet access is available only at government offices. Tuvalu is a nation living on borrowed time, and that makes it one of the most poignant, fascinating, and urgent travel destinations in the world.